Hi, my name is Lauren and welcome to TV 1061. Join our network and broadcast your film live across the continent. Come to our studio and film and stream your TV show, sitcom, and showcase and broadcast it worldwide. Combine multimedia with your live stream. Independent filmmakers show your movie and afterwards interview your cast live. Sponsors, advertisers, I'm talking to you. This is your chance for global exposure. These are exciting times that we're in. Traditional TV is but a thing of the past. TV 1061 is on the Roku platform. Roku is an industry leader in internet TV. It has a viewership of 53 million and counting. It is the most popular and fastest growing internet TV platform. If you are interested in developing and showcasing your movie or show, or interested in coming in as a sponsor or advertiser, please send us your contact information with a brief description of your interest to 1061tv@gmail.com. Thank you.
Welcome to Short Film Universe, the show that celebrates the art of short filmmaking. Join us as we take you on a journey through the exciting world of independent film. In each episode, I'll be interviewing some of the most innovative directors, producers, and filmmakers in the business, getting their insight and perspective on the craft of short filmmaking. We'll look at drama, comedy, documentaries, even mockumentaries, and all the genres that make up this exciting industry. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be entertained. This is Ina Morgan inviting you to join us at Short Film Universe.
Good afternoon, Universe, and welcome to Short Films Universe. Thank you for spending your Saturday here with us. Today in studio we have the lovely filmmaker, Mr. Joseph, and also on our web we have the lovely filmmaker, Richard. Hi, Joseph.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you. How was your
Wonderful.
Saturday? How was it getting into this studio today in that Georgia traffic?
It was a long drive, a lot of turn and stuff, but yeah, I'm here, so we're here to have fun.
Yes, thank you so much for spending your Saturday
Thank you
with
for
us.
inviting me, for sure.
Thank you. And Richard, how are we doing over there in the lovely California?
We are doing well. I figured I'd give you guys a nice little California backdrop.
Thank you. We're all envious over here in Atlanta. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday with us. I would like to go ahead and dig in. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, Joseph, and what inspired you to get into film?
Oh, that's a good question. So I was just trying to make this story a little short. So in high school, I grew up in the Ivory Coast, born and raised in the Ivory Coast. My mom is Nigerian, my dad is Ivorian. So the stereotype as a Ivorian and Nigerian mixed together, they're always trying to believe, they always want you to be either a doctor, engineer, or lawyer. And through all of that, I wasn't good in none of it. So in art, I was really good in art. Like the idea flowed better. I love art. So one time, I think the last exam in high school, the art teacher, decided to give us a project, and we can bring any element, any medium for our exam. So I decided to go with the film. So for me to represent that, I have to bring the storytelling, the visual, and everything together. All my friends did painting, scratchboard. I was the only person that did film. Mm-hmm. So, but I started as a photographer. So me taking that direction from photography to filmmaking was a very big gap. But I'm a very hyper person. I like moving a lot. So image was too still for me. So that's what directed me into moving image. So me making that medium and that film and showing to all the classmates, there was that click in the beginning, like cling, that was like, oh, I think I'm really good at it. And everybody that watched it loved it. The music, the representation, and the whole aspect of it. And from that day, I feel like, yeah, I got something special. And I think that's where the rise of the filmmaker for me, though, started. And it was a little bit a shock to tell my mom, hey,
I can imagine.
I'm a filmmaker now.
I can imagine.
I don't want to be a lawyer or doctor. I mean, it's a good career, but that's the path I wanted to follow. So yeah.
Okay, yes. And you said you found that talent or that gift you had during school. Was this like elementary, high school,
high
college?
school, high school. And from there, I think I started to develop the craft and loving it more as I go. So yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And starting with photos or with like standstill images is literally how film got started, motion pictures. So you was already on your way to go ahead and start film.
Yeah, it was, I just think it's just God-given. I just have to unlock it. Because as photography, I literally saved my money to buy my first camera. It was a T3i, and I started shooting, taking pictures in high school and all of that. And but for that class, I didn't want to do any. I wanted to be different, and I started looking to how to incorporate something different, and I think that's what directed me to film. And I was like, okay, let me try it. And I didn't even know how to edit in the beginning. I did not know how to know. So I think YouTube was there back at that time. So I started,
University.
Yeah, I started looking YouTube, and I was like, okay, I can do Final Cut, and yeah, and so that's where I started picking up the love.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. As you know, too, working on films, having that perfect shot is everything.
It's everything. Framing is everything. Yeah.
This is very true. And the same for you, Richard. How did you start getting into film? What is your background?
One thing I can definitely relate to is being a very hyper person, and I was very much like that as a child, and so I started actually as a child actor. I did some acting classes, I did a couple of commercials, and so I was involved in film at a very young age, and it wasn't until later in life that I started to realize I have all these eclectic interests. I love all these different fields of study. There's not one that I can really narrow in on. And I realized that with film, you get to explore all these different interests that you might have. If your character is a geologist, or you have an archaeologist, or you have a scientist, or you have a police officer, all these different things you need to research and engorge yourself in. And that's what really attracted me to film. I could explore all these different interests I have through the medium of storytelling. And when I was in high school, I was the only person that knew how to edit, so I was in high demand for the video projects.
I can imagine.
And I used to love just seeing the laughter and the joy and the levity I could bring to any stale video presentation with some good filmmaking, some good editing, and just see the effect it has on people. And so that really attracted me. And when I was about 17, I got my first ever gig as a PA. My sister was directing a little commercial for the internet, and I showed up in my nicest shirt and my nicest pants, and then 2 hours later I was covered in sweat, had to take everything off, change clothes, building tables in the sun. And despite all of that, I fell in love with the process, the chaos, the energy, the franticness. There's a million people doing a million different things, and nobody seems to be talking to each other, and I love that. So it's one of the only things that can really narrow my hyperactive brain, and there's nothing else quite like it.
Yes, I love to hear that, because you know how some people feel like I thrive during chaos, like you sound during all these chaotic situations or things that's going on. It's like, this is my time, this is when I shine. So that is super cool. And then it has to be like a major difference to be in front of the camera and then to go behind the camera. That had to be like somewhat of a shock versus, you know, as you said, when you're doing commercials or you have these roles, this is your script, these are the lines you have to follow. There's no in between. So to have that freedom and that creativity had to be everything. I love this. I love this. And do you mind just telling us, so what is your style or genre of filmmaking?
So I do all sorts of filmmaking. I try not to get locked into necessarily one style, But I've done things like thriller movies. We did a movie called Deserted that I produced, my sister directed, which is about a bunch of people taking a coyote in the desert, getting lost, and then the elements kind of closing in on them. I've done dramas. I've done reality TV. I was a producer on MasterChef and Temptation Island, which is a reality dating show set in Hawaii. I just did a documentary, and right now I have a horror film in development. So, like I said, all these eclectic different interests that kind of just bounce around. If a project comes to me and I can be involved in some way and I find it interesting, the money doesn't matter, the time commitment doesn't matter. If it's interesting, odds are I'm going to want to be a part of it.
Oh, I love this idea. So if it piques your interest, then you're involved. It doesn't have to be romance, drama. It could be documentary. It could be reality. If it piques your interest, I'm there. If I'm intrigued, I'm there.
Oh yeah, and I'm kind of insane in that regard because people will come to me and they say, I have no money and this is a high concept project. I'm like, awesome, let's do it. Let's start.
I love it. And then to have a sister already in the industry also has to be amazing. You know, sound like you said you got your first start as a PA working on your sister's film, which also has to be awesome and kind of help segue you from, you know, being in front of the camera to being behind the camera with having someone you know.
Yes, my sister is the hardest worker that I've ever met in my life. She's an incredible writer-director. She has so many great projects on her docket coming up. She just did the 2020 remake of Black Beauty for Disney Plus, and soon we're going to be doing some other films with her. I've worked with her and her husband so many times on so many wonderful different projects. She also wrote and directed our recent documentary, Wild Beauty Mustang Spirit of the West. So it's just so great to be able to work with family and to be able to kind of elevate their vision through your contribution as well.
Yes, working with family has to be the best, and it sounds like your sister is a busy woman. She has so many things underneath her belt.
I don't know how she does it, but somehow she stays sane.
Wow, yeah, I don't know how she does it. Kudos to her. And what about you, Joseph? What is like your style or genre of filmmaking? What draws you?
I love every genre. As long as there is a specific storytelling, I love it. But what I truly love is horror.
Okay.
I have a very deep passion for horror.
Okay.
I think I like the psychology, thrill of it, the tension, how you can make somebody react through timing, framing, lighting, and jump scare. All of that just in that specific moment. And I love going to watch horror. Like, I've watched basically a lot of horror this year. I have like a movie pass. I usually go every weekend then. And you can tell when the horror is going to make you jump because they count. But I love when they count and then you be like, oh, they missed the count, but they have to actually do another scare jump again. But I love the thrill of it. It's just something I'm really passionate about. And if you watch a lot of my work, there's a lot of lighting. I love low key lighting. I think it just bring pure. I don't want to say. I think it just bring pure joy. Just when I see low lighting done very well, I think that's where my passion of horror comes from. The low lighting, and sometimes I be in the room and I just look at how the light fall, and I'm like, let me just sit there and just, you know, it's just so fun to me.
Okay, perfect. So horror brings you in because of how you said, like the thriller aspect of it.
Yeah, the psychology, the tension, the way the camera move, and a lot of them is also the story.
Okay.
Sometimes you really don't. There's a lot of movie out there that just splash blood back and there. It's really not my favorite. I just love it. Even if there's no monster in it, I just love the fact that, okay, this movie is a horror. Let's see how they're going to make me jump or scare me without blood, without monster. Let me see the story, how the story goes and stuff like that. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Do you like to scare people, or do you like to be scared when you do it?
I would say, I do. I think, so a couple of months ago, I had to showcase some of my work to like a big audience, and they had comedy, and my work was like 3 minutes. They have comedy, 10 minutes, other sci-fi and stuff like that, and mine was just 3 minutes. And I was sitting in the room just waiting to see the reaction of people. And I got the same exact reaction I wanted. Like immediately everybody was like, oh, I was like, yes,
Fulfilled.
I
Mission
fulfilled the
complete.
dream. So yeah, I do like the scare. I mean,
I love this idea. Okay, so if possible, would you be able to kind of like walk us through your creative process when you're thinking of a new idea when it comes to a horror film? Like,
yeah, so
you
pretty
start
much
that?
the way I go is first is the idea. So the idea, the inspiration. Where do I get the inspiration? Sometimes it's just at the coffee shop, listen to two people talking. Sometimes it can be a book, sometimes it can be a movie. The inspiration comes from everywhere. And then I have to dial it down where it's gonna be like, can this idea stand with two legs? If I remove the third leg, can it still stand by itself? Is this something that I would like to watch? Because I usually shoot things that I myself would like to watch. Not everybody, just if I can sit down and watch it and I love it, somebody else will. So the love have to come first. And then I'll be like, okay, it's time to brainstorm. So I brainstorm the idea and I do some research. Sometimes, let's say I'm telling you a horror movie or horror story, sorry, about maybe another village or another town. I want to do some more research so it can be relatable, you know. And after that, I can basically start writing my script. So sit down, cut the music, cut every distraction, type it down. And after, I send it to people that I really know, they know about script and story. And I'll be like, oh, check it out. Let me know what you think. Then they give me a feedback. This character is not solid, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, go back again, some revision. And after that, I go back to find a location. But usually I write my story depending on the location that I have. That's pretty much what I like to do, so I don't have to call people and be like, yo, can I do this, can I do that? So I write doing with the location that I have. And after that, I go to production, pre-production and post-production and shooting, edit, and then we're good. And finally, the edit part, I edit everything myself, add the sound that I have. I think the most thing that take time is to find the right beat, the music, because the shot will tell the story, but you really want to tell the story with the music when it comes to horror too, like the lingering and all of that. And I think after that, I just posted marketing and yeah, pretty much.
okay.
It's a lot of steps. It's a process. Sometimes I jump some process depending if it's just me. I just get the idea, write it down, shortlist it, and find the tone, the mood and the tone that I want, and then just shoot it, post it on Instagram, and then we're good. But sometimes when it's like more of a short film or feature film, there's a lot more to go through. Yeah.
And it sounds like for you, the process has to start with the love of the concept of the idea.
Yes.
If you don't love the concept or the idea, then nothing else is
going to
gonna
fall apart, because immediately you're on set and you try to tell people, no, this is how, no, it's just going to fall apart. And waking up in the morning to do this is very hard. It takes discipline, it takes commitment. So you really got to love the story that you're telling before you even start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it sounds like too, once you have your story, you love your concept, you love your idea. I only heard one time too when you kind of send it out to your peers, like, hey, how do you feel about this story? And that's when you kind of take like their feedback or their like.
Because sometimes you need other people's eyes too. Like you might probably be so focused on this, but the element is not there. So they can be like, this character is not strong. I don't feel this dialogue is a little bit too weak. So you just, you're not taking the idea. Criticism is good. You're not taking the idea away. You just adding more detail to it and where you can refine it. So pretty much, yeah.
Oh yeah, so you're pretty much taking their expertise. Like, I seen it this way, but I'm super grateful to have these professionals in their field to open up my mind and make the story more depth or
That's
more
pretty much it,
deep or just bring it more full circle. Okay, I love this. And how about for you, Richard, if you can, would you be able to walk us through your creative process? We know you love all types of genres and styles. So when you're picking out for a short film, a video, or documentary, like what is your process that you go through?
I think first and foremost, what I respond to the most is passion. Whether it's another filmmaker coming to me or a writer who maybe doesn't have anything produced yet but has passion. If they really care about a script, if they're willing to go to any length to get it made, to get it done, put in the hours, put in the sweat, I really respect that. I respond to passion and I try to help passion flourish. So that's a must-have right off the bat. And then the next step is kind of listing out, what do I have? What do I have access to? Locations, actors, equipment. And I start to kind of get a picture on what's producible in this space we're living in. Because there's two types of projects. There's the ones that you can go out and you can film for a reasonable amount of money, and then there's the dream projects, like the sci-fi epics that need $200 million budgets and the crazy VFX. Those are great,
Yes.
but you can't exactly go out and film those on a whim. So really working within what you have. Like, if you have a back house that has some furniture in it and you can dress that with some art department, you can go film a short film in there. If you have a friend who has a cornfield, you can go film a short film in there. If you can use your connections to find different ways to create a story, you have a great starting point. Otherwise, you're kind of going in the reverse order. Okay, here's the high concept. And then you have to start kind of, like you said, taking the legs away and seeing what's producible here. Okay, I want to do this great movie, and it takes place in one room with these two actors, but there's a big CGI monster. Okay, maybe we alter that to get a little bit more practical. Maybe we do makeup and prosthetics instead of VFX. So really whittling down the ultimate, which is, okay, here's what we want to do, whittling that down, until you get to something that's somewhere in the middle between what you want and what's practical to produce. Because all the great ideas in the world don't matter if you're not actually filming anything. So getting it down to that manageable level is a challenge. And I mentioned passion. Sometimes this does have a detriment because directors, cinematographers, they get so excited. Like, yeah, we're going to get a jib and a dolly and a steak can. We're going to do this. I'm like, all that costs money.
Yes.
Do everything that I can to get you those things, but it might just be one of them.
That's when that PA comes back into play. budget.
So managing the expectations of these very passionate individuals is one of the main jobs of a producer, because in a passionate industry, emotions and egos and all these things are in the mix. So staying calm, staying the focal point of calmness and tranquility on a set, I think is one of the most important things in the creative process. Stress, anger, disrespect, it's like a drop of oil in water. It spreads to everything, or a drop of food coloring in water, I should say. It spreads to everything, and it infects the whole crew. So staying calm, respectful, and always with your eyes on the goal is really the heart of my creative process.
Okay, yeah, so it sounds like you're the person that says what's practical. Again, like you said, you're dealing with all these big egos and all these people having these grand ideas, and like you said, already want to have a $200 million movie. Like, okay, but we're just working with $10 right now. This is what we can do. How do you feel about that? And I do definitely agree that has to be one of the hardest things. It's kind of like chipping off the ice block. You know, if you want to have this big sculpture, you got to slowly chip away. So I actually love that idea, but I also heard you speak about script writing. If you don't mind, how do you approach script writing? Once you made sure that you have a practical idea, you have somewhere to shoot, how do you approach script writing, and what are like some essential elements for you in telling a compelling story?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I love to talk about stuff like this. I'd say, first and foremost, always be raising the stakes in your script. So say you have a movie that's about a cat stuck in a tree. Well, if nothing ever changes, that's not a very interesting story. But if a cat's stuck in a tree, and the neighbor's dog got loose, and the fire department's here, and they say, well, we need to cut down this tree. The tree's on fire. Be constantly raising the stakes of your story to give the audience something more to grasp onto. It doesn't have to be linear. There can be something that happens that swells, and then you can go down into a valley, things are calmer, and then they redouble once again. And really riding that wave is the key to a really interesting story. Making your characters likable is a big challenge. I run into it all the time. I write the character and he's going through the motions of the story beats, and then I realize, who is this person? And I don't like them. They're not doing anything. They're just stale. So that's always a big challenge. I'd say giving your main characters what I call a limp and an eye patch is very important. Everybody should have some defining characteristics about them. For example, a limp and an eye patch. Obviously, it'd be a little weird if they all had that, but one character could speak with a stutter. One person could, always be picking his teeth with a knife or something like that. Give these characters these little nuances that you run around in real life. It'll happen all the time when I'm talking to people. They'll tell me of a friend, or they'll refer to somebody that I know, and they'll use the phrase, you can't write that, or, ooh, that's a guy, you could never even write him in a script. That's where great characters come from.
Yes.
And yes, you can write them, and you borrow from those people, and you put them in scripts. That's what makes a great character. Writers will by default write what they know. It's impossible to not do that. You're almost always going to be writing characters with some form of your voice in mind. And so if you can start to borrow these little bits of personalities from other people that you know, your life experiences, these different people that you've met, you can make those characters that much more unique. And your characters are your whole movie.
Yes.
So it can be a great plot, it can be great everything. If we don't like your characters, if they're not interesting, you don't have a good movie.
Yeah.
Another last thing I'll touch on is your main character or characters, have them save the cat or kill the dog within the first 10 pages of the script. By save the cat, I mean doing something noble and heroic like saving a cat that demonstrates, okay, here's what they're all about, here's why I like them, they did something that I say good job to. Or a kill the dog moment for an anti-hero. I think in episode 1 of House of Cards, Kevin Spacey's character literally kills a dog. But it's something that makes you dislike them, but kind of respect them in a different way. So that's more for an anti-hero, but it immediately establishes the ground rules of your character. Do I like this person? Do I hate this person? Do I respect this person? And then base your character's actions on kind of those initial precedences that you've set.
Okay, yes, okay. And when you're building or crafting these characters, or are you thinking about the idea of save the cat, kill the dog, or kill the dog, save the cat, do you kind of follow the typical film structure? Like, I'm going to do this in Act 1, or how you just said with the Kevin Spacey in Episode 1? Or do you kind of say, like, I want the film to build up to its climax, I'm going to do this in Act 2, Act 3? Or you just kind of let the characters play their part as you go through the film?
I think it's a mixture of both. There are structures to screenplays for a reason, and when people who are powerful and have a lot of money are reading your scripts, they might be looking for those things. So always keep with those in mind. You have films like Memento who throw that out the window, and that's great, that's fine, but that's the exception, definitely not the rule. Once you've written a bunch of movies that demonstrate that you can respect the structure, sure, go off the rails, go crazy. Have your climax in the first page, have your exposition on page 90, whatever. But I think you really do need to try and stick as close as possible to a recognized story structure if you want it to be attractive towards producers, towards other filmmakers, towards studios. And aside from that, sometimes your characters will surprise you as well. Sometimes when you really have a character who's got its own unique voice, its own unique motivations, you'll be writing and then you'll realize, oh, my character wouldn't do this, or this character wouldn't do that, or maybe they would do something, and that can really shape the outcome of your story. So listen to your characters, they have their own thoughts, they're basically real people, and try and stick to a loose structure.
Okay, I love this idea. Okay, kind of what Joseph said. So as you're building your characters and we're kind of going through the process or the film with them, do you also kind of bring in some peers to kind of say, like, I know I'm probably just speaking from my perspective, as you said, sometimes the character kind of comes through us or what we know. Do you also sometimes bring in some peers to say, hey, I've been writing this character this way and I know he doesn't think this way, or what would he dance to, or what would he enjoy as a movie? Do you do that as well when you're doing your script writing?
Absolutely. I have some very good friends and also my sister and her husband. And if I have a script that I think needs another set of eyes, I'll send it to my writer friends, some other filmmakers, and I'll say, can you please do some coverage on this script? And I encourage people to be brutal and meticulous. I want to know everything that crosses your mind, stream of consciousness notes, because those are the most helpful to me. I don't think there should be any ego in the creative process. If somebody thinks your script is bad, they should tell you that. And you don't have to take that personally. Sometimes things are bad, sometimes things are great. But the more honest you can get with people, and the more people feel like they can be honest with you, the better your final result's going to be.
I agree with you, Richard. To be able to be receptive to criticism have to be everything. A lot of people, directors or producers, feel like this is my baby and this is how I want it. So to be able to be open to hear what other people think, or people in that profession that you respect, has to be the ultimate goal. So thank you so much for that. How about you, Joseph? How do you kind of go through your creative process when you're approaching script writing, and what are some elements that are important to you when telling a compelling story?
I think I would ride with Richard on that element, making your character either lovable or not. And the first 10 pages, everything, man. I don't write a lot, but when I write, it's literally from like inspiration that I get either from a movie or from a conversation that I heard. And sometimes when you write, to be honest, a lot of your characters sound just like you.
Okay.
And it's you don't see it until you send it to somebody and be like, yeah, that character looks just like you. So sometimes it's good to send it to other people to have another eyes on it and stuff. But the whole idea is to find a script that you love or write a script that you love and just make your character believable. A lot of people said if I put this character in it, it's going to be realistic. Make sure the character, the action determine the character. So whatever the character has to do, that's what we really want to believe. So if you bring a character in the story and if he kill a dog, like you said, or the cat, we already know this is a person that don't care too much about living things. So we already portray him like, oh, this is a guy that we should all be scared of. If he save the cat or the dog, we know this is a guy that, oh, is a loving person and stuff like that. So all the action has to go to work. Don't just bring a character and be like, oh, I want him to do this, because if you do this, people are going to love him. Make sure every action is intentional toward whatever he's trying to do, so they can lead to a point. Just like I want to pretty much bring a good movie that I really love, Parasite. You can see the evolution of the lower class getting to the high class, and every action they were doing brought them to that level of high class. So that's pretty much what I can say about screenwriting, pretty much, yeah.
So do you pretty much approach it by knowing the character and let me find out exactly what action this character has to do, and from there we kind of establish who
Pretty
the
much.
person is, and then do we just follow them throughout the movie doing this,
Pretty
or
much.
do your characters also, when you're approaching screenwriting, do they go through some kind of change?
So at the end of you either give your character a want or a need.
Okay.
And are they going to accomplish it at the end of the story? That's up to you. If they don't, the character can change at the end of the story. That's all. That depends to you. If they don't change, that's still okay. But they always have to have a want and a need that need to be accomplished and need to be portrayed on screen, so people can be like, okay, oh, that's what he wants. Okay, I want to follow him. Oh, that's what he need. Okay, let's see if he's gonna get it. But it's just, you can't just throw something and be like, just let's see. No, there has to be a lineup, and every script has this incident to a point where it rise up, and the stake has to be high. If there's no stake, nobody's gonna follow.
I agree. We do need to have some high stakes. And for you, the most compelling stories, do the actual character get what he wants, or the most compelling is when he don't get what he wants, that he gets both? What would be like the most compelling?
That's a very good question. I think everybody like a happy ending. I just like when it's surprising.
Yes, I agree.
Like a good one would be, I want to say Get Out. Get Out, you can define it. Did he end up getting what he want? Jokers, did he end up getting what he wants? So all this movie, and I think everybody goes with happy ending. I would say I like a happy ending. So if they get what they want, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's the most compelling to you. Yeah, I would say yes and no. Sometimes real life doesn't happen that way. What do you think, Richard? The most compelling stories?
To me, the most compelling story, and I recently learned of this phrase, is a Pyrrhic victory. And a Pyrrhic victory is when there is a victory, but the losses incurred are so great, it's almost as bad as a defeat. So the character accomplishes their goal, but at great cost. To me, those moments are so sublime. They are so bittersweet.
Yes.
I love them so much. So a character, he wants to conquer the Indies. Okay, he does that, but his wife's dead, his child's dead, his family's dead, and everybody hates him. Different stories like that show you, okay, your ambition can take you this far, but the great sacrifice that great accomplishments come with.
Yes, yes, yes. I definitely agree. One of my favorite movies is Marvel Infinity War, where we're actually following Thanos, and he kind of goes through exactly what you're saying. You know, he's going for what he wants, but he had to lose almost, everything in order to get it. So I definitely agree there with you. And speaking of compelling stories, Richard, you have a great short out right now called Every Other Animal. Would you be able to discuss a little bit about this film before we go ahead and show a piece of it?
Absolutely, and I'm so happy to hear that you guys like horror, because we are definitely in that genre.
Yes.
The strange, dark, and mysterious genre of Every Other Animal follows three main characters: a little girl who gets wrapped up in human trafficking, a local drug boss, and a local undersheriff. And this all takes place within a small Ohio town of a population of about 2,000. Real everybody knows everybody town. Well, in this particular town, something arises that feeds on human desperation, something we only know as the Entity. And the most desperate person in the town happens to be this little girl who was just human trafficked. And so the undersheriff, the town preacher, the drug boss, they're all working together to save this little girl from this scenario, but unknowingly kind of working towards freeing the Entity as well. It's psychological. This creature is smart. It borrows elements from the Wendigo, and different cryptids of that sort, and it's strange, dark, mysterious, and something I am very proud of.
Strange, dark, mysterious, and amazing. I've seen this shirt and I actually loved it. So we're going to go ahead and cut now to Every Other Animal.
God made us struggle to lift up the shield of faith against all the fiery darts of my enemy, and taken by the Spirit and the sword of God, the Word of God.
You check everywhere else?
Been asking around, but at this point we're noodling for catfish in an outhouse. The sheriff's department is getting desperate too. Hoyt. Hoyt?
All right. Let's go to church.
I do believe God works for our good in all things. I hope I'm right. I'm sorry this is happening to you.
All right, open her up.
Watch your eyes.
I told them they were early. I tried to get rid of them, but those sons of guns, they just won't leave. Pastor Barnes,
Pastor Oscar, all things work together.
Those who are called according to his purpose.
Sometimes people being early is just people being early.
Just carry the box. It'll be fine.
I can handle it.
Oscar, just the box.
I don't know about this, Hoyt. I'm a God-fearing man.
Well, you can tell him to come find me. In the meantime, cops and kid diddlers are my first priority. Barnes, how the hell are you doing on this hot fucking day?
Busy.
I suppose. Fair trade for holding on to some oxy for us. Keep the church's power going a little bit longer.
Power only interests people like you, Hoyt.
Well, power's a constant, Pastor. You either have it over someone or someone has it over you.
I'm not here to pontificate.
Did I interrupt you on the Peloton, Pastor?
AC's on the fritz.
No shit. Bo here's an electrician on his day job.
There's no need. Look, I have work to do.
What else are you hiding back there?
Nothing.
More oxy?
No?
Maybe some coke?
Look, I don't do this because I like it, Hoyt. Nor for any other reason you could possibly fathom. I'm not waiting around for another would-be white trash criminal to hide drugs for. I've been given a choice. Either debase myself and desecrate my church, or let her rot. I'm a man of God and principle. Something you could never be. So when I say nothing, it means nothing.
What about little girls?
Please just leave.
You ever meet my daddy, Pastor? He was 6'4", 250 pounds. He's a big man. The first time he took me hunting, he told me, boy, don't go after anything smaller than you. Why, it would be a waste. Problem was, there wasn't much out there. No deer. No coyotes. But there was a rabbit. And I had to see what would happen. So I took my 12 gauge. Mind you, I was pretty young back then. I pointed at that poor bastard. And I squeezed. Have you ever seen anything just wiped from the face of existence? Anyway, in the end, all I had left was a pile of buckshot and some hair, and my dad grabs me and he grabs the shotgun. He says, boy, you made a goddamn fool of yourself. You wanted to feel big instead of wanting to be big. And now every other animal knows where you are. God gives us power.
Step off him!
And self-control. For your sake, find it now. Jesus Christ.
Dear Lord.
Get that girl out of there.
He was just about...
Go! Go!
You open that door, none of us are going anywhere. We're dealing with something far bigger than you, Hoyt! Please, God, don't do this to me.
Get up.
That day, huh? Let's get you home.
So sorry.
You killed us all.
fuck is happening? Get up. Get the fuck up!
What in the actual fuck? You killed us all.
Hey! Are you okay?
Think I'm gonna find myself a hideaway. Up in the hills are so beautiful. My baby's young and wild and I like it that way. When the sun comes out she likes to play, watching clouds go by in mysterious ways, heading down to the dark edge of town, somewhere between here and the sun. Me and my baby.
Hand claps and finger snaps for every other animal. Yes, let's talk about a thriller. I would love to first know, how did you come up with the title for every other animal and then your concept? That was amazing.
So the writer who we worked with, his name is Alexander Maxwell. He wrote the script. He came up with the title. I think it's a brilliant title. It's provocative. It's strange. It's vague enough to where we kind of know what you're talking about, but it also refer to things that aren't animals. And I could tell you a story about every prop, every piece of wardrobe, every location in that film. If it was on screen, odds are I had a hand in getting it there. Especially that shipping container. It was filled with garbage. It was free. So me and another producer went down there and over the course of 8 hours, took everything out, cleaned it, painted it. When you don't have budget for an art department, you do it yourself. It's no one's job, it's your job. But great team effort. We all got it together and had a wonderful time making that.
Yes, we can see it from the results. And I see that you're working with the writer. I also hear you say you're working with a team. So overall, how was it working with your production crew?
Production crew was great. We had so many people who really understood what the project was, which is a low-budget proof of concept. We're just trying to make this exciting and good for what we have. I think radical honesty with people is super important. Letting people know, hey, this is a little bit different than a typical set. We're not going to have all the accoutrements. We're not going to have the gourmet crafty. It's going to be hard hours in the sun, really fast movement. And if you're upfront with people about that at the very beginning, they're not going to be surprised when it's, 13 hours in and you have 5 more shots left. Because it does take a lot of dedicated effort to get through these low-budget projects, and you need a team that's on the same page. So our whole team was great on this one.
That is amazing. I definitely agree. It's definitely important to be upfront and transparent with the people you work with so they know what to expect. And then it's also amazing to have dedicated production crew members, to have people who see your vision has to be everything. And also, while doing Every Other Animal, did you guys face any challenges? Because I hear everything's amazing, production's amazing, the team, the title. What were the challenges?
God, yes.
Did it come to
Endless challenges. Number one is always money. There's never enough money. Whether you have $5 or $500,000, there is never enough money. The location itself was incredibly logistically difficult. It was some off the beaten path movie ranch in Santa Clarita. Friend of a friend let us film there for free. Downhill, muddy, dirt roads. We need to get trucks down there. You have to walk 2 miles to get anywhere. Everything's filled with garbage. There's no power. The shipping container, the only one we could shoot in, absolutely filled with ancient stuff and rat poop. So I had to get in there. The props, the set dressing, it was just beg and borrowing all these different things. Even that picture car that you saw, the director comes to me 2 days before filming. He's like, we need a cool car for Hoyt. We'd have to have something for his personality. Like, I don't have any money left. So went on Craigslist, found somebody selling that car, being like, hey, can I borrow it for $60? Sure enough, somebody was willing to play ball. Yeah, I think I was back-to-back 18-hour days, just making sure everything got done and it was on time. But I wasn't surprised. That's what the project is. You need to set your expectations for that amount of work so you don't run into a lot of confusion once it actually starts getting difficult.
Yeah.
I like to think that, I'd like to assume that at least 3 things are going to go catastrophically wrong on every set. Hopefully they won't, but give yourself enough mental space for 3. But yeah, nothing blew up, nothing caught on fire, and nobody got hurt, so that was always, and of course the prosthetics for the creature, that was another thing.
I could have
the mask and the eyes and the makeup. The creature actor was the Nightmare Mom from the movie Smile, and he's 6'5", he's super lanky, super crazy, 6 hours of makeup to get in, 2 hours to get out, so yes, lots of challenges, but nothing we can't handle.
Yes, that was my follow-up question. Like, how was it creating this creature? I know with the prosthetics, with it growing, like, did you have more of a challenge actually getting the costume on the creature, or actually, like, you know, in editing or in post-production?
So we had such a wonderful makeup artist and creature actor. The creature actor is very used to these kind of prosthetics. He does it a lot because it is extremely claustrophobic. This is a 6-hour process, and once you're in it, you can't get out of it until we're done filming. So having somebody who's used to that is key. And before we even, picked up any camera, I made it clear to the filmmaking team we need to lean into the practicality of this, practical effects over VFX all day, every single day, because VFX are expensive and they don't scare me, to be honest. I'm not scared of a CGI monster because my brain can tell in the uncanny valley that that's not real. So I really wanted to do practical effects for as much as we could with VFX as a garnish. The cicada, the little bit of face melting, some of the blood, that's VFX, but everything you're seeing on him is very real, and it's just a mask, finger extenders, and some very, very good makeup.
Yeah,
but I'd say that to all filmmakers, if you have something that needs VFX, try every possible way to do it practically, because VFX are going to cost you time, money, and they're not going to look as good.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely like your way of doing things there. And lastly, I would love to know, what do you hope audience will take away from your film? What is the message you want them to get?
The message in the larger scripts, once this movie gets made, hopefully later this year we'll be filming, is isolation versus community. Every time somebody isolates and they reject community and they run away and they try to fight these battles on their own, that's where the entity finds their next host. The desperation that comes from isolation is what breeds monstrosities. And if you look at the legends of the Wendigo, it is very much a spirit of desperation, a spirit of isolation, and it's probably based on very real people who shut themselves up in a cabin in winter. Isolation drove them mad, and they became monsters. Whereas if you surround yourself with people who can help you and you accept that help, you might find a much better fate than characters in our story.
I definitely agree with you. That is definitely a really good theme. We all went through an isolation process of ourselves, if you want to call it that. So I definitely agree with you there. Thank you so much for airing your film with Short Films Universe today. We definitely appreciate that from you, Richard. And for you, Joseph, of course. Thank you for being here. And for you, Joseph, we have Reappearance now. Can you tell us your concept and what went into your brain when you were making this short for us?
So I was just sitting down and watching the movie called. It was actually inspired from the movie called The Ring.
Okay.
So I was watching and I was like, hey, let's assume I was the one watching the tape. What would happen to me too? So I was the idea just came up and I just kind of shot list and kind of study what they use and the mood and stuff like that. And I was like, let me recreate something that's kind of similar to that aspect, and that's what the idea came from.
Oh, perfect. So I did believe I heard you say "we see you," so you're actually acting in this as well. So you act, you maybe have to act, right? Direct. I love.
I might probably take acting out of that equation, but I have a friend of mine that wanted me to act this year, so I did some acting this year. Big thing is I love staying behind the camera. Being in front of the camera is really not my thing, but I'm getting my baby step there. Okay. So yeah, so if anybody want me to act on the project, I usually read the script and I'll be like, okay, that's something I'm really passionate, and I jump in front of it. So acting a little bit.
Yeah, so at this point you're open to the idea of being in front of the camera.
Yes,
but you prefer to be behind the camera.
Yeah, I love being behind the camera. The acting, I think, is very the craft of acting is I mean, they do their thing, man. Remember this whole line and emotion and all of that. I just leave it to them, but yeah.
Okay, so for Reappearance, so keep in our mind The Ring is what you're saying?
Yeah, The Ring. So I actually did everything myself.
Oh, okay.
I kind of like teaching filmmaking to other people and telling them, shoot with, like Richard said, shoot with whatever you have. Okay. Have few light there and there. I have my own camera and I have my own setup and stuff like that. So from the audio to the Foley to camera setting, lighting, everything, the props, I did everything by myself. It took a long time. I mean, maybe 6 hours, but the end result was just beautiful to me. So yeah.
That's super impressive. Yeah. Not all of us can do that. So kudos to you, Joseph. Okay, let's go ahead and get a clip of Reappearance.
Don't go in that door. Don't. Oh my God. Really? Oh, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. Oh, really? You gonna come out of the TV and you gonna stand there? God damn. Oh, wrong, man. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Shit. So what you got me do? Man.
Woo, some more hand claps and finger snaps for reappearance, Joseph. Oh my God, at the end I was like holding my throat.
Yeah.
What was going on? How did you come up with this title and this concept?
The title came, I changed the title a lot of time. I think it was Close Up, Fear, and then Reappearance was just, I think the idea of whatever movie I was watching kind of reappear. So I was like, that sounds good, and I just labeled it like that. Yeah.
I got it. So whatever you was watching kind of reappeared in your real world, and you said, I'm going with that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I love that. And then I understand that you said too, you were like a one-man production crew. So what were some of your challenges as far as like getting the lighting, the scripting, the editing?
It was very challenging because immediately you step in front of the camera and you leave your camera, you kind of sacrifice the camera point of view. So if I'm going there and I touch the light and I'm not behind the camera, I already sacrificed the look of it. So now you have to make sure everything is just pinpoint, and that's what and then the focus too. Because my camera does not do autofocus, so I literally have to manual focus it. And a lot of my shots were out of focus, so I couldn't use that in edit. I was like, But what was my strongest point was the Foley. So I went inside. Everything I was using was because I was at home, so I have to make the phone, the sound of the phone separately, the water opening separately. So I would wash my shot, and I have my device, and immediately the water come, I just open it and record it. So everything was done separately, so the sound can sound very three-dimensional, like a very solid sound. And I did that for every single piece, and especially the lighting too. I did the lighting separately, and all of that have to blend in to give you that feels of filmmaking or cinematic look. So yeah, it was fun.
It was fun, but also super challenging. It sounds like getting that audio, like record, but then that audio has
the
to
shot,
make it
like placing the shot the way that you want, and then going in front of the camera, looking at your monitor. Is it focused enough? All of that. It was challenging, but then again, you always have to think about the end result.
Yes, that's true.
That's what is beautiful. When you finish and you look, oh my God, I actually did this. So yeah.
True.
So I try to motivate all filmmakers out there to be like, hey, you can do this by yourself, and use what you have. It's good to think outside the box, but start with what you have now. Do you have a car? Okay, shoot a dialogue in the car. Do you have some friend? Put your friend in the movie. Do you have a kitchen? Do it. Just, don't try to look too far, because immediately somebody call. If you have a location and somebody call, hey, you can't use it today. You got to be open to quickly, So use what you have now and build around it. So yeah.
Okay, that's super cool. So you pretty much
that advice. That is sage advice. Use what you have.
Yes.
Picking big up what Richard said. You guys are saying the same thing. Pretty much take advantage of all the space that you have.
And I see a lot of filmmakers that want to do, like Richard said, they want this CG, they want this, and the stories does not call for it, but they just want it because it look good. And I'm like, as a DP, I'm like, okay, it's gonna work, but you need the extra budget. You don't have the budget. How can we cut it down? How can we make it simple? So use what you have now, and if you don't have the budget, it's still cool. You can still you can make a beautiful dialogue in the kitchen. You can make a beautiful dialogue in the living room. What you have at your for you right now, for you to make this, to make it happen. So yeah, pretty much.
I love this idea. And I know you said previously when discussing film, lighting were super important to you.
Yeah, I love lighting.
So how did you approach your lighting techniques when it comes to reappearance?
So I did a lot of research on how they use the lighting and stuff. They did use like a lot of vintage lens, and also like a filter that kind of give more of a greenish tint. But I couldn't find a filter, so I was like, okay, I'm probably just do a color grade. So they use a lot of low-key lighting. So pretty much you shoot from the darker shadow of your character. So the camera is at the shadow side, your key is there, and then you just let your shadow be more contrasty. As you put your neck close, it becomes more darker. So that's literally what I studied, and I was okay. I can do this. So I look at a lot of. I went to film. I think it's stock shot deck. Sorry, shot deck. They have a lot of different film frame. So I studied, and I was like, okay, this is how they light it. They give you a lot of specific when it comes to lens, the key, the lighting and stuff like that. So for me, I'm big into researching. A lot of people will call me, hey, do you want to gaff this stuff for me? I say, okay, what do you need from me? How do you want your movie to look? As a DP and as a gaffer, how do you want it to look? Give me an example. Okay, I want it to look like Slim and Queen. I want it to look like maybe 21 Jump Street. Okay, I'm like, okay. Then I look at the stuff. How did they make it happen? Behind the scene, I study it. And I'm like, okay, we can make it happen. And I try to be like, what's your budget? Okay, you don't have a budget. Okay, cool. We can just do indie. Okay, we can have this type of light, borrow this type of light, and boom, 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 and make it work. Sometimes you don't have to make it too complicated. You just find the simplicity and just make it happen.
Make it practical.
Make it practical.
I agree, and people don't realize how important lighting is. Lighting will literally make a scene, make a frame.
Yes.
So I definitely
agree. A lot of people don't, they really don't understand. And when I came to Georgia, a lot of, I saw a lot of DPs. And I was like, okay, how can I make me as a DP different from other DP? And I wanted to talk with light.
Okay.
Like light support. A lot of DP don't study as much lighting. They just give everything to the gaffer. But I think for me, I will watch a whole series, no volume, just so I can just pay attention to the lighting. And for me, that's how I start studying lighting. And I think lighting is very critical when it comes to any project that you do.
It's the most important.
The most important to
and
me,
what do you hope audience will take away from your short reappearance?
I hope people got scared. That's pretty much it. But for this, I always want people to understand that I did that short film all by myself, and that you still need a crew to do it, but don't give up. You know, it's passion. If you can do everything by yourself, at all means do it. But I understand all aspects of filmmaking. That's why I was able to do it. So if you study all aspects of filmmaking and you really study what you really want with what you have, I think you can shoot most of the stuff that you want by yourself, but you still need a crew. But if you don't, you can still try. So,
study and research your craft. I agree, but you can do it by yourself, a one-man band. But it's always best to work with a team.
It's a lot of work, but it's possible. Yes.
Yes. And lastly, where can people find your shorts? And do you have any upcoming short films or YouTubes or anything else that's coming along that people would love to follow you?
So a lot of people can follow me on my Instagram. I post a lot of my work on my Instagram. Is Alala Film, ALALA _film, ALALA _film. Alala is like I told you, I was born in Ivory Coast, raised in Ivory Coast. My mom is Nigerian, so from the Yoruba, I'm from the Yoruba tribe. So the Yoruba tribe, Alala mean dreamers. So that's why I named my company Alala Film. So they can see a lot of my work on Alala Film, and DM me if they need any requests or want my services. But that's pretty much it. I have a upcoming short film that I'm trying to pull out, but it talks more on Afrofuturism. I'm trying to blend horror and Afrofuturism together. So African mythology with horror and blend it together.
I would love to see
make it like I think I want to explore that.
Yes, that seems like a really interesting project. I would love to see that. Well, we thank you so much for coming to the studio today, spending some time with us today, and also for casting your films. We thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
And for you, Richard, for people to go ahead and find Every Other Animal, or do you have any upcoming shorts or films, or how can we find you and see your movies?
So I actually started a little production company off the back of Every Other Animal, just out of necessity. I'm not the greatest at social media, but I did start a page called Akinonyx Pictures, ACINONYX Akinonics means cheetah, because I like cats. I like big cats. And I'm going to start posting some regular updates. The next project that I'm working on right now is the feature film version of Every Other Animal, which is slated to go later in this year. So if you want to check out that page for updates, I'm sure I'll get around to it one of these days. But yeah, hopefully Every Other Animal is done and completed by this time next year.
Yes, perfect. Well, we thank you so much for chatting in, videoing with us, and giving us that beautiful California feel. Yes, the sun and the trees. It looks amazing. We thank you so much for taking the time and airing Every Other Animal here with us at Short Film Universe.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. We also love to give a special thanks to Trill Castro, which is our film coordinator here, and Mr. Felix Washington, who's also a producer here. And I would like to thank everyone out in the world, everyone out there in the universe for spending some Saturday, a good hour with us here at Short Film Universe. And I hope to see you next week, and have a great day.
Welcome to Short Film Universe, the show that celebrates the art of short filmmaking. Join us as we take you on a journey through the exciting world of independent film. In each episode, I'll be interviewing some of the most innovative directors, producers, and filmmakers in the business, getting their insight and perspective on the craft of short filmmaking. We'll look at drama, comedy, documentaries, even mockumentaries, and all the genres that make up this exciting industry. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be entertained. This is Ina Morgan inviting you to join us at Short Film Universe.